That is one mighty fine cargo hub. And I don't know why I was speaking a bit of an American accent there. It is one big, nice cargo hub, and it is actually stabilizing our money a bit. Before we were fluctuating between about negative 20 and 40 odd thousand, and now we're fluctuating between about positive 20 and about 128,000 or so. So it's a good improvement, but it can be a lot better. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Skylines. I've been busy working at this thing, trying to get these things to stop exporting by road, and as you can see, I have mostly succeeded. Most of those vehicles are chugging along quite nicely, going into their little hubs, and I've got each of these are going to a different direction. So north, to the right is east, south, and west, I think. So one line each is about right. I have also dramatically expanded the amount of fish. I got rid of all the seaweed protection because they seemed to be bugging out a little bit with their trucks. So all of that is going into here. The trains are coming along to here. I do have a dock-off line which goes into some of those, but I might get rid of that eventually. And most of those are just going into here, which I think most of these trucks are actually just going, some of these trucks are going straight into here, which is not necessarily a problem. If we just take one, can we get lucky? Yes, we did. So there's one from fishy, and there's from fishy, and from fishy. There's one from fish. There we go. So from both of those train stations down there, it's coming to here, which isn't too much of a problem. I'm just wondering if we're better taking off these lines, bringing them up to here, and bringing the cargo hub down to here instead. But that's a little bit of a future problem for me. I do have a little bit of a cargo problem here where they're starting to switch a little bit, and let's just get rid of that guy. And they do seem to be switching a little bit as they're coming up to here, and I think that's with the 4-lane to 5-lane switch. So we might do a little bit of change where we take that's 5 lanes there, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, no, that's 4 lanes. But 5 lanes all the way through here might be the solution. The other problem I still have is that a fair amount of these of the farm and the ore are still exporting by road. I don't particularly want that. I want as much as possible, if not like 95% of it to go to here and the rest of it to come into here. Which might be a little bit harder than it seems, but that is what we're going to try and do. The last thing I want to do as well is reorganize this entire thing. One thing I've been reading up is that it might be better to have, if I'm going to have, for example, the clothing factory, let's take that, for example, and move it to here, for instance. And then I'm going to have the 3 things it needs, so animal products, crops, and plastics. I'm going to put a warehouse right next to them, and then that would produce away my goods very nicely. So that would mean that this thing could go, maybe, and that this thing can go, maybe. We'll see how that goes. A little bit of time has passed, and I've just decided to move this across to here. So hopefully that the fish truck should all start going into here, which may or may not be a little bit faster for my fish money. That should boost my fish money a little bit more. One thing I did notice is down here, this has stopped for, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. Well, okay, 2-3 minutes now, and it's still producing fish trucks, which just shows the sheer amount of fish I was dumping into here. So I anticipate that something up here is going to do exactly the same thing when we get to it, when it starts happening. You can see there's a train there. I think I may have put this the wrong way around. We might need a little bit of adjusting there. But other than that, the fish should start dumping onto the train. These trains would go straight out of the city a lot faster. One thing I didn't anticipate, and probably should have foreseen, is that all these fish trains are going to actually dump a lot more of these trucks out in, and that each and every single one of them all the ones that come off the train. So let's just say there's 8 of them. All those 8 can spawn yet another train here, so I probably didn't actually think this thing through. Yeah. But anyway, my money is coming through nicely. I did get down to about 14 or so, 13 million in fact. But now we're back up to about 15 million, and it's working quite well. We do have a fair amount of money coming out of our warehouses, which is not ideal. If it's breaking even, it's probably not right. We've got farming is doing pretty well. The ore is fluctuating a fair bit, which is probably contributing a fair bit to our money problems. And oil is also doing poorly, I think. 11,000 is... 11,000 is not bad, I guess, but if I'm just doing that, it's not too great, and there's not enough buyers? Yeah, I think I know why. It's because these things are all having to go... I think I'm just doing plastic... Okay, plastic and petrol, but all of those things are having to go by truck all the way up to here, and then it's going straight back out. So I might need to do a little train hub, I think, to get my warehouses. So when I reorganize these things, when I get the factories all into their places, I might need to do a little bit of reorganization with that as well, and put some train lines in, which actually, now that I think about it, if I had a train line from here, from Animal Farm and from Rockhampton, one each, to my cargo hub, so where the new warehouse hub, that could work a little bit better. They may still use it to export straight out, but that's a risk I'm going to have to take. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that with the addition of all the fish trucks, this area is simply not able to cope with demand. Because I think, as I said earlier, each of these trains, or each of these, 8 of these fish trucks are enough to spawn a single train, and I'm dumping lots of fish at it. You can probably see that's probably an example right there. You can see a fish train there. There's probably going to be a couple up here. You can see one just despawned and one was here. So each of those are dumping heaps and heaps of fish. So what I'm thinking might be a better idea is, if I go underground, is if I move, if I say, if I do bring them up. No, wait a minute, no. Because what I'm thinking is, if I have a specific fish one, and then it's able to spawn trains going either way into these bits here, which might mean a little bit of manipulation. I'm just trying to think about it, because what this is going to require, because this is dumping so many trucks on, if I put a train line here, for instance, a station here, for instance, and then it has line going into here, line going into here, line going into here, and line going into here, that might work. I'm trying to avoid dumping more than one station on a line, because I'm not sure it's going to cope as well. Even the addition of one shouldn't be that bad, I think. Because my problem down here is really just the double fish line. I've got 2 fish lines coming into 1, coming into 2, and then they both need to export, which is dumping lots of fish. So yeah, a little bit of thinking required here. Well, this has been going for, I don't know, about 20 minutes, I guess. I did a little bit of manipulation of the roads, and we've got ourselves quite a bit of fish. However, we also have a lot of fish trucks going around. You can see there's a lot there, and that is just chocolate. I might need to add another station up here, but for the time being, over here, this is just chowing out trains like nothing, like nobody's business. So the fish industry is going fine. It's churning out a lot of money. It's very, very, very backed up here. Yeah, that is a lot of trains, actually. I'm not sure if I can do anything about that, because I do think it needs to be 2. I might be able to fit a 3rd one in, and that might just add more trains or more trucks in. But for the time being, this over here is working very well. So I had to put in 4 different trains on each line just to keep up with the demand. And with all my future plans as well, I might need to add a couple more. Maybe one here and one here, which should work. But we'll see how we go. So yeah, I'm going to work on getting these trains a little bit better, and then figure out how I'm going to work out these unique industries, I reckon. I just can't stop laughing at the sheer ridiculousness of this. I've got I think there's 18 or 19 different fish splits here. There's another, dozen or so, maybe 10 or so. Actually, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19. There's another 20, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So that's 40 different fish places going to 4 different train stations, all of which are feeding into here, which is utterly ridiculous. So I suspect this cargo station is just so full of fish trucks that it's just constantly producing, unlike this one here. And then it's going into these 4, which are all super producing. Might actually need to rework this intersection to give a little bit more priority to cars going in and rework this entirely. But one thing I have noticed is it's actually keeping these things well down, because I've got a super-duper export hub. I've got all of these things that are just slowly producing or exporting their stuff, and it is keeping the freight trucks relatively busy. You can see some of them are not particularly full actually, which might be a little bit of hassle later on. But what it also means is that these things are... Is that even on? I can do plastics, there we go. So these things are operating reasonably well, I think, now that I look at it. Well, okay, I had to click on the one that isn't, but paper, I don't have any paper or goods, so I turned that off. For some reason that's not doing anything. But yeah, for the most part these are actually working. So that is a good resolution to what we've got at the moment. At some point I'm probably going to rework this thing, but what I've done here at the moment is got a 5-lane highway going to 4, going to 3, going to 2, going to 1, with the idea being that the trucks will, I think if I do forbid lane switching all the way through here, it means that the trucks by this point here will have to have picked their line, and then they just go into their first, second, third, fourth and fifth line. I haven't yet picked a place for the 5th station to go anywhere, but that's a backup should I need it. And at some point I will probably need to expand to a 6th station, which is just going to be utterly ridiculous. I've got 12, well at the moment I've got 10, but 12 stations just dumping stuff. And one of the things I am thinking of doing as well is having another export over here, just feeding straight from these warehouses, going straight into somewhere over here, so there'll be an import hub essentially. And same will be for the animal farm and for Rockhampton, and they'll all feed into a little area somewhere around here, and that will slightly reduce the amount of trucks. We're going to have to be a bit careful, and it may mean moving this warehouse hub a little bit as part of our future plans as well. So a little bit of work to be done around here to make sure this is at peak efficiency. I forgot to start this earlier, but I have been working on redesigning this road a little bit, so I'm trying to get it so that from each of these areas, so from 1, 2 and 3, you can get to either of these 4, and it's relatively the same kind of route. So at the moment the farm is coming over the top and in splits across here. This one splits back here. From the left you can't really get to the top yet, which is still a work in progress, and from Fishville you've still got you don't actually have any way to get there. But I'm thinking connect this to here, which would mean that you can have a lot of switching on this road, which may mean that I might want to change this road here so it comes across. Instead of starting here, it might, where is it? And come up. It might start here instead. Just connect that back up, and then it can have a little tunnel, I think, possibly, if that works. I'm not entirely sure if it will, and it can come across to here. The other idea is just go straight up or tunnel across to here, which is probably the better option. Alright, so let's let that go and see how it goes for a bit. It may take a little bit of work to figure out exactly where everything is going, and especially from these ones, from these ones coming in, they still can't get to the right, but overall I think I've worked this out pretty well. Let's see, I do need a little bit of preventative lane switching around here, and possibly up here as well. So that may be a little bit of a problem if this one is trying to get all the way across to the left, but I think I've got a 2-lane highway each way, so just a little bit of lane manipulation around here may just be necessary to make sure this flows correctly. So let's see, lane switching like that, and the same on this side, and that seems to carry on pretty well. So we've got this middle one goes either way, which is about right, and this one goes like that. So what's going on there? Yeah, so I'm gonna make sure that all the lane switching is working fine, and go from there and see what happens. My biggest problem seems to be the fish, but I think I've sorted it out. So what I've done here is, it's really, really bad, but what I've got is just single bridge going across. So most of the fish should be dumping onto this road up here, but I have allowed it to go onto here, which is producing a few problems there, and across to here, which is, again, producing a few problems here. So, yeah, this probably isn't the best way of doing it. But I'm not quite sure what to do to fix it yet. So it might require yet another reworking of this entire intersection, and just trying to figure out why the fish is just going every which way. It may be that I just don't dump the fish into here at all, and figure out a new export hub that deals with the fish, but hopefully I don't have to do that. I've made a few more adjustments around this area which should hopefully improve it. I've moved my ore storage away from here, which is probably going to help as long as they actually have water. That was a bit silly. And as long as they have water, they should be good. So that should prevent the traffic from here. It has meant that this road here is now a lot free, and there's a little bit of traffic management around here, which I could probably do, but it does seem to be flowing quite nicely, which is good to see. Very, very good to see indeed. So what I do want to do now is get started on these unique factories, because I think that's probably my next biggest factory, my next biggest problem. If we look at our budget at the moment, this thing is flying around pretty well. It does sometimes drop a fair bit. Our farming is pretty steady. Our oil will be worked on in the next episode, I reckon, as well as our forestry. Our fish is floating around 50, which is pretty good. And our unique factories is the one that floats up and down very, very badly. So our expenses do seem to fluctuate quite a lot. Our income naturally seems to float quite a lot as well. And I'm not sure if that's because the unique factories are trying to export to here and taking a while to get there, or if it's because that these unique factories are sometimes a little bit broken, like this one at the moment, no petroleum. And if I click over here somewhere, can I guess which one it is? Not that one, not that one. Not that one, not that one, not that one. That is that one. There we go. So that one's about 69%, which is not bad. It is not bad indeed. It is possibly a factor that this thing over here isn't quite up to speed yet. I do need to get that one all done. And of course I don't yet have my wood factories in. So I'm going to work out how I can best work on this to get it up to peak efficiency. And as I was saying earlier in an earlier episode, it's mostly going to involve a single road highway, or single road, I guess, single lane road, which has the factory and then the warehouses along the same road. So it should prevent me from having all these troubles. We'll see what happens. And there we go, we've got ourselves all the factories and all the warehouses out of the way. And now we need to figure out how we're going to get this thing in place. I've still got the game paused. I'm thinking either this one, which will give me a very high capacity to go in each direction, or a cloverleaf is probably not going to do. A roundabout definitely wouldn't do. We need for the north-south ones to continue on their path, but we also need a good amount of land on this side and this side for our 16 different factories. I think over this one would do nicely, so let me get that one in. And then I reckon a roundabout here and another one here should do quite nicely to get our traffic flowing quite well. So get rid of that. That might need a little bit of an upgrade to get things going, but that one looks to be going quite well. So let me think a little bit more and build up some of the infrastructure, and then we can see how it's going. I'm starting to wonder if I really do need these massive big factories, or not factories, if I really do need these massive warehouses, or if a small one would do just as well, because I do have a way to export it really quickly. So, and these things were keeping relatively empty. You can see that one's probably a little bit fuller than it should be, but some of these ones are doing it pretty well. So if I was to change all of these, because these ones are empty, so if we get rid of those two and put in a small warehouse there and a small warehouse there, that would actually save me a lot of room, which is kind of what I want. It's not going to do me too much good when I get to those, but we'll see what happens. So I think for the time being, we'll stick with the small ones because they're definitely safe spacing. So petroleum and plastics, and we should be able to see what happens. Plastics there. And anyway, we can get them to there. So what I've done as well is put an exit line here, which means that any exporters should come through here, go around the roundabout and come into here and export. They can't come into the south line yet, but they do have a way around that, which is the long way round. So hopefully that works, and hopefully I can get this thing going. Right, there we go. So hopefully this thing starts to drain away. So I've put all the big factories on this side, which without water, without anything, and I've set them all, I think, to empty. I think I set them all to empty, so they should eventually start emptying all their goods, and in theory should either be exporting or going to here. Now it is going to put a massive dent in my income for a little while, and yes, they are going to the mediums, that's good. So it is going to put a massive dent in my income for a while. You can see there it's already dropping to $5.91 per week, which is ridiculously low. So hopefully this thing starts going. I have hopefully done it in such a way that it will produce quite well, because we've got a road, factory, or warehouse, factory. So each of these contains a thing, and it's a one-way road, so they should be able to go into there. Now what does mean is that I don't have any place to dump my unique goods, or just goods in general. And I'm not sure yet how to do that. I'm thinking dump it back onto the arterial road here, and then that should be dumping out here maybe. We're not entirely sure. Now over here I've still got the roundabout. I'm going to keep that, I reckon, and instead of just leaving this area, I'm probably going to make this into a new industrial zone. So it means that I still have all of these things here. I might do a couple of warehouses on this side as well to keep up some of the goods, and then they can still export or export to the region there. And I probably will put a train line that we can go everywhere using this connection to every which way. I'm starting to hit really ridiculous levels now. Negative 145,000. That is just madness at the moment. But I'm going to stick with the plan. Oh, I didn't really think about this one, did I? That's going to have to go underground, possibly. So I might need to... Yes, so go straight. And then come out. Yes, there we go. There we go. That will do, I think. Okay, so still a little bit more building to go. Negative 189,000 now. It's still ridiculous, but we have plenty of money in the bank to be able to deal with something like this. So if we go like that, bring this one up, like that, and so on with the rest, we should be good. This is going to take a little while for this to roll through, but we can see it's all filling up, hopefully. This one, no, not enough not multiple problems. That one's fine, that one's fine. Actually, that one's a little bit of problems, but most of them seem to be okay. I've still got a bit of backlog with vehicles coming in, and I'm also sitting at negative $290,000 lost per week, which is about to be expected, because pretty much the only thing that's keeping me afloat at the moment is the fish. And of course, if I don't connect this thing up, it's going to be even worse. So I need to connect that up to power. There we go. So that is now done. I didn't realize that was going on, so you can see there's a heck of a lot of traffic trying to get out of here. So maybe I should have put a route there, but then that's going to encourage these vehicles to go use that route, which I do not want. So there's a whole lot of traffic going there, which should mostly be exporting or filling up these ones. So it's just gonna take a bit of time and probably lose a fair few $1 million. But again, I had what, 16 million when I started this, and it's definitely going to be worth it. This episode is taking a little bit longer than I thought, but so we're going to wrap things up very shortly. What I have done is made a little bit of manipulations around the road, so it's just not as busy. We do have a little bit more work to do to get the petrol and plastic and wood products in here. So we're probably going to have an import hub here and then an export one here to transport the goods back to here. And at some point we may put another airport in here and remove this one, because for some reason if I have two, the cargo seems to like going between one and the other. So we'll have to figure that out just a little bit better. So that is probably going to bring today's episode to an end. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to see you in the next one. Goodbye.